everyone. How is it December? And we are already wrapping up what has happened in ProAV for the year. I literally cannot believe it. Um, this has been a wild year, and we are going to talk about some of the trends that have shaped our industry. You guys probably can guess a lot of them. I know you're all thinking, yeah, AI. Yes, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot, actually. Um, so, really quick, just to make sure that you guys know how to use the platform, I'm sure most of you are seasoned professionals by now who are joining, but just in case you don't forget to ask questions to me and to our presenters today using the feature to your right, to the right of me. That will be the easiest place for me to see them. I love audience questions, so please, please, please participate, and all of my panelists love them too. Down below, those are our poll questions. Do make sure to utilize that feature. That is letting us know what portions of this event you are really paying attention to or interested in, things for me to take into account for next time. Keep scrolling, you will see networking where you can talk to each other and also to me or to any member of the rAVe team because they are all clued into this. And yeah, if you see any pictures, the pictures of the presenters, my picture, that will be where you can connect with them after this event is over. So without further ado, I would like to bring on our panelists. Welcome Nathan Haynes, Alexis LeBroy, and Kevin McDonald. How you guys doing?
Great. How about you?
Doing good. So first of all, I want to give you guys just a couple minutes each to talk about yourselves. Tell me about your experience in the industry and what has led you to this today. Alexis, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Thanks, Steph. Good to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Alexis LeBroy. I am the director of the Audiovisual Services Division here at Midpoint Technology Group. We are in Columbia, Maryland, and happy to be here today. Thanks.
Perfect. Nathan, what about you?
Hey, I'm Nathan Haynes. I'm an independent low voltage technology consultant here in Vancouver, BC. My studio specializes in immersive AV systems, advanced automated control systems, and we work internationally. 2025 will be 19 years old, so all grown up.
Very cool. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin McDonald. I'm Senior Director of Business Development at Peerless AV. We're headquartered in the Chicago area. I'm down in the Atlanta area. And the company's been around since 1941. And I've been with them 31 years. So I've seen a lot of changes in our industry. And hopefully I can pass on some knowledge. That 31 years doesn't make me that smart. It just makes me old.
No, I think it also makes you smart and well-seasoned in our industry. And I do want to say to everyone before we continue that I know that Megan Dutta was supposed to be here today. She could not be here, so I am going to be, hosting solo. Hope everyone is okay with this, even if they are not. This is just what's going to happen. So continuing on, and I am very casual, so I am just going to throw out questions, and I love it if y'all just jump in, jump off of each other's answers. It is my favorite thing when you guys do that. So let's start and cast a pretty wide net. Like, what would you guys say was the most impactful trend or technology in ProAV this year, and why?
I'll start again. Why not?
Amazing.
I don't know if it's the most impactful, but I'll tell you what I have seen the most, from Infocom to just all of the rAVe shows to wherever, and that is the video and sound bars, and how everybody has decided that they need them. And I don't know why. I just feel like the market is flooded with them. And I just feel like there's no more room for any more. I know I'm not a manufacturer, so I'm sure they feel differently, but just why? Why are there so many of them? And why does everybody have to have them? Why do the audio companies have to have them? Why? I get the video companies, but why? What is it for? It's just too many.
I understand.
My opinion.
That's fair. Who should I pick on next? Nathan,
That's a good one. Yeah, pick on me. Why not? It's for this year. I do feel like we had a couple big things happen. One that I'm passionate about, that I'm excited about, is the discussion around sustainability, efficiency, circular economy, that kind of green effort. I think is a trend that's going to become more critical, less of a trend, and become more critical for things. And then obviously the obvious one that's dominated everything, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it a lot, is AI. AI kind of went from, a conversation and what is AI into holy cow, it's on my computer, it's on my phone, it's in my car. It's probably a part of, there could be a person here that's AI for all I know.
It's me.
Yeah, there you go. So you just don't know. But I think that one's a big one. And, the technology around it, AI chipsets, the hardware, it's pervasive throughout the industry. So I think that's a big trend for sure.
Yeah, good point. Kevin, what about you? What have you noticed?
It's not a new trend for this year, but directory LED, it's been trending up, and so we're seeing smaller pixel pitches and a lot more placement of these. I'm seeing a lot in transportation. It was that way last year too, and a lot of non-standard configurations such as ticker tapes is in your airports and so forth. But then you're also seeing these all-in-one solutions, which bode well for, let's say, a boardroom or so forth. So you just buy a 136-inch all-in-one and hang it up like it's a big TV. And so we're seeing a lot of that growth there. That's kind of the easy button. But in the background, we're seeing a lot more of the sophisticated stuff going on. It's starting to grow and move along nicely.
Yeah. No, those are really good trends and things that you guys have noticed all around. Was there an advancement or trend that surprised each of you the most this year? Nathan, you made a really good point about AI just shooting off out of nowhere. Is there anything else that surprised you guys like that?
Well, that one was the biggest hair raiser, definitely on my side. Just the adoption and the general use cases. It just kind of went from something cool and conversation and neat and haha, this is funny. We can type in these queries and get these responses to within 2 months. All of a sudden it's in almost every vertical. And then all of a sudden, we've just seen it. Every update you get for any technology device you have is introducing something to do with AI, whether it's voice recognition related, whether it's automation surrounding something that's going to happen, whether it's machine learning. I mean, from CCTV to AV to the content and signage, it's just unbelievable. Yeah. So for me, that was the hair raiser, the big excitement of the year. And whether or not we actually understand what that's going to mean in the future, it's hard to say. It's almost like when the internet became the thing, everybody had to have the internet. It's like, well, what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
And now look, it's become an invaluable tool for everybody. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch over this next year. And it's just been an unbelievably surprising advancement and the uptick for regular users.
Yeah, Alexis, you got any other trends or anything that really shocked you? I mean, you mentioned the all-in-one video bars, that being a big trend this year. Did that surprise you that all of those are all of a sudden on the market and readily available?
I mean, I guess it didn't really surprise me, no, because it's been coming for a long time. I thought it was interesting to see a couple of video companies that already produce cameras. They created video bars as well, so I thought that was interesting. And I guess it's to make it's an ease of use type of situation for a particular type of customer who wants to kind of do more plug and play ish type of situations. But I think the biggest thing is that everything has a use case that goes with it. And so we've talked to customers quite a bit about what is the use case for the room. Is it 30 feet deep room? Is it going to be modular? Is it, there's all these different variables. And I think that where we do our customers a disservice is by allowing them to believe that everything is for everybody, and it's not.
Right.
So doing more of the needs analysis, doing more of what are your use cases? Are you going to move these spaces around? Is it this boardroom table? It's those kinds of questions that will lead us to the right video bar or the right system for their space.
Yeah, that's a
Right,
good
'cause
point, Alexis. That's huge for sure, understanding that use case, because our gear can do so much. Like one piece could do
Mhm.
anything you can imagine. And sometimes when you give that kind of blue sky to the client, they almost don't know what to do with it. So really kind of listening to them, asking the right questions, understanding their business needs, where they're coming from, and then
Mhm.
tailoring it to them is big deal. And we want to make them more efficient. They don't need to be the AV experts. They have their own business to run. They have their own targets to meet. But if we can enable them by understanding them and giving them these tools to really grow their business, then all of a sudden AV becomes a very valuable asset to them.
Mhm.
Yeah, Kevin, what about you? Was there any trend? I mean, I know you specifically mentioned the availability of direct view LED. I can't talk today, I guess. But is there anything else, or maybe anything along with how adoption has gone for DV LED that has surprised you?
I was actually thinking about what was just discussed, and now with the hybrid workplace, which was kind of a surprise, the amount of companies that instead of saying come back 100%, that you can come back now a few days a week or whatever it may be, and maybe that's what these all-in-one camera video systems are for. Is all right, the CEO was going to work from home a few days a week, or anybody, and so a nicer system in your home that's, like you were saying, a plug and play type system. So that could be a part of it too. I don't see somebody putting up a big direct view LED wall in their office at home. That doesn't make sense. But definitely in line with the direct view LED, it's just you're seeing more adoption, and I think it's getting a little bit easier for the integrators. Maybe not as easy as they would like, but I'm sure we're going to discuss more of that as I had a privy to see some of these questions ahead of time. So
Yeah.
thanks.
So, okay, leading to like the next portion, part of one of the trends that I mean, in my opinion, has been a really big part of 2024 has been virtual production, because that used to be like not an AV person's problem. That was like all broadcast, right? But that has quickly evolved and that has now become, not a problem, but something that we need to think about in this industry. So, and it's continuing to evolve super rapidly. So, what key developments did you guys see this year, if any, and how are those developments like reshaping our industry?
Well,
We've seen a lot of corporations putting in studios and consulting firms, and it was kind of a surprise. Education was already starting to do that. I know they have classes, so they have to put up that type of a room, but almost like they're bringing in their commercials in-house and they're creating them. I went to a studio here in the Atlanta area, and it was pretty cool to watch. And he showed me some commercials that they had done when the only thing that was real was the person, and everything else was, virtual reality behind them. So we're seeing, in places that I didn't expect, such as a major corporation, and they're putting in this studio.
yeah, Kevin, you definitely touched on it, even with the earlier discussion on DV LED, like the finer pixels, the curved walls, the
Mm-hmm.
unique kind of any resolution shapes, the picture-in-picture or multi-window, whatever you want to term it as. It's just huge. I mean, and it makes a better experience for us, the human portion of this, the viewer, the patron. I mean, being able to have people either acting in front of live video as opposed to green wall, that type of thing just makes it more realistic, more visceral. They can interact better within that environment, because again, you're not just standing in front of this blank wall, but now you have motion behind you, you have color, light, there's this active scenery essentially, and you're able to create these virtual experiences that just weren't available before. And then you add in the efficiencies and costs involved with DV LED. The mounting structure technology has gotten so much better, which I'm sure Kevin could talk about. And there's just a lot more advancement with everything to do with it, the ease of the install, the fact a lot of this stuff's flexible. It's made the virtual production really big. And then you add in YouTube and streaming and these types of things. Now you've got people, like you're saying, clients that are maybe doing a big wall behind them just so they can do their own productions, their own streams, their own TV channels, that type of thing. So it's definitely become a huge and gives a better experience to all of us, I feel.
I want to piggyback off what Nathan said too, and it's about the experience, right? And the company I worked at previously was a production company, and I recall during COVID, it was very much, come to one of our studios in these areas, and you could have your virtual graduation, you could have your virtual town hall meeting, and we, had the virtual reality, augmented reality studios where people could set up to do these broadcasts. And it was all about creating the best experience for the people on the far end who are participating in these, these broadcasts and everything. I mean, if you look at Zoom and Apple and the way that they put out their productions, I think it had over the years, right? It has caused other companies to kind of raise the bar with what their expectation is. It's just like, you have you can buy the biggest gigantic display TV that you want for your house. So you want the same thing for the same price that you got at Costco in your conference room in your office, right? This is what I'm used to seeing, this type of production and this type of experience. So do I need to go outside for that, or can I have that here in my own office? And so I think that is a huge impetus for the corporations that are adding those type of studios in their own spaces. Now back on the integration side, one of the things that we're seeing in packages when we work with either bidding or needs analysis is a need for those type of broadcast studios. And so we have the opportunity to work with those organizations. And we're seeing it in some of the higher education customers that we have, where they're asking for these types of studios to be built so that they can train students on how to use them. So I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, it's definitely been super popular, even in live venue stuff we're doing. A lot of that, you're putting in these 50-foot by 30-foot or 80-foot by, 45-foot, whatever the size is, and they're astronomical. And now we're finding a lot of artists are actually renting out these spaces to do exactly like you're saying, do these unique backgrounds, shoot video, broadcast stuff, put together like Christmas specials, that type of thing. So yeah, it's really kind of changed the dynamic. You don't need to shoot the video and try and get all this stuff and generators out into the forest or something like that. You can create this virtual environment, and really with some clever lighting on the people that are either acting or performing or the artists themselves, mixed with that background, it's just the sky's the limit, and you get to go to the destination to do it. It's all purpose built. It's all set up. Reliable, it's ready to run. You're not worried about the wind or the rain or what have you. You're just creating your own environment at a drop of a hat. So yeah, it's really exciting for sure.
And sorry, Kevin, you were saying something too.
Well, I wanted to take advantage of, and I didn't want to pass this up, but since Nathan put it up on a tee for me, he talked about the curved structures, convex, concave, all those different things that the display manufacturers of these directory LEDs tell you could do. Well, without us, it doesn't happen. We make it happen with our structures. And thank you for doing that, Nathan. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing. That's 90% of the job. I mean, the screen itself is kind of the like glitter on top, but it's all that structure and sorting that out that, as a consultant like myself, that's the heady part of it. That's the heavy lifting of it all. But yeah, the glitter at the end is putting those panels up and seeing it ignite with content.
Yes, that's correct.
We had a question come in from the one and only John Hinkle, and he wanted to know what you all feel are the biggest roadblocks or impediments to doing more business in 2024.
Oh, That's a
I know
good.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
guess it depends on, where he's coming from. Is that a system integrator, or is it a manufacturer, consultant like Nathan? I guess it depends on that. Like what we've seen lately on the system integration side is in direct-view LED, again, it's very complex. And so you just can't go, and it's not like hanging up a menu board of LCDs. Then that needs some fine-tune adjusting too. So I think that that they have to be well trained and take advantage of the manufacturer's training, whether it's the structure, the direct-view LED itself, and don't pass up those opportunities, because a bad install, especially with these systems, you're breaking pixels and things like that. That gets very costly. So, it's somewhat of an impediment, that I see there.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. You touched on a good one there, but I see a few big impediments for us coming into this next year. One of the big ones is one we're talking about, AI with programming. So we're going to see a shift in programmers programming HTML5, all that kind of thing, AI-driven programming. That's going to be a shift in our industry. Another impediment that I've seen is finding reliable, trained technicians on the ground. There's been a big push for a lot of the other aspects of our industry, but we need to get young people involved in the hands-on technical work, doing, like Kevin said, the training, things like Alexis has alluded to with use case, and getting them to understand our industry, that it's exciting, but there is a lot of technical knowledge behind it that needs to be adopted, and we need those people to be able to install these complex systems, because without them on the ground, the boots on the ground, it's really difficult to get a reliable system up and running and show that benefit to a client. If something's broken, constantly having problems, not installed correctly, it reflects poorly on the industry, not just the company or the technician, but the industry. People feel like, oh, the technology's flawed. So that's going to be a big impediment, making sure that we have fresh blood in the industry to be able to hook this stuff up and have a passion for it and help it work. And then AI is kind of eating up a lot of fields and spaces. So I think looking beyond the impediment is when we're going to see stuff like human intelligence with artificial intelligence, where we're going to see this dominant human aspect. And I think the more we latch onto that human aspect and making it very easy for end users, and making it more collaborative and more unified, I think that's where we're going to kind of see us be able to pull out of maybe the impediments and kind of turn everything a bit more into an optimistic view again, is that human-centered aspect.
Yeah, good point. Alexis, what about you?
I think, these are all the things that I'm dealing with as well. So I don't really have anything else to add. I have been just really, if I had to say an impediment for me, is time. I don't have enough time to think. So that's one of the things that I'll be working on, is just just trying to make sure that I have the planning time. And I think all of us need to do this, and making sure that we have the time to be creative, and the focus time, all of these things. I don't know. I think we just give those up, because you just have to, I have to do all the time. And you really don't get as much done as you think. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and something that I have to take into account as well. So kind of shifting a little bit, because I feel like, we've talked about AI some, but another big, part of our industry, and has been for the past few years, is hybrid work and unified communication. And those tools have been incredibly important to our industry, potentially like maybe not at the same rate as it was in like 2022, when we were just trying to get our footing post-COVID. But what advancements in 2024 improved how people collaborate across spaces, in your opinions? And where do you guys think there is still some room for growth?
I think for me and for what I've seen, I think that there is still some room for growth in the way that we approach hybrid, and it's not going away. It's going to be here forever. And so when you see, it's a little scary for me when you see companies saying, okay, you've got to be 5 days back to work. That concerns me that some of the big companies are doing that. Um, I come to the office most days. That is for me. Um, and I think that we have to continue to be flexible. We have to continue to counsel our customers and how they are working with their staff and being flexible. I run across people who are 5 days a week at home and they love it, and I come across people who are 4 or 5 days a week in the office and they love it. Or they make it work, right? Um, so I think it's not going away. And I really think that it's concerning to me, some of the 5 days back to office. I worry about the workforce that we're going to
Mhm.
have, to you guys' point earlier, who are we going to attract in those situations? And again, having those same conversations with customers.
Yeah, I kind of have a rare experience in this. I've been on my own for about 20 years working from home. So when everybody else showed up at their houses, I was kind of like, darn, the cat's out of the bag.
They were late to the party.
I know what business is now. Darn it. But yeah, it's definitely like, I think for us in our industry, what we need to really focus on, just talking with like neighbors, friends, everyone else, as we've adopted this hybrid work scenario. I mean, Alexis, you're bang on with like, if you're not offering that to your staff, it's a difficult call because families, kids, the nature of the busy lifestyle nowadays, that flexibility and freedom people feel when they get a company that's flexible with that time and allow you to manage that time is huge. It's a huge draw. I mean, people just gravitate to a job like that if they have the choice from a punch the clock at 9 to 5 or I can have hybrid, they'll take the hybrid. Even if they're office people that like to go in every day, they're going to take that hybrid option for that odd day where they need to get out early and pick up their kids, or they have another commitment that may be a side hustle, something like that, that they need to go do something. They'll still get that work done, but on their own clock. And I think that freedom for the new workforce that's coming in, the younger generation, is an expectation. So there's no doubt there's a bit of a resistance to the kind of business as usual. Kind of new business as usual is business unusual. It's kind of the new way. But we all need to, our industry especially has to standardize. A big pain point talking to friends, neighbors, colleagues is this unified part of UCC. And making the tools easier and more standardized, because not a lot of people have the in-depth tools we have in AV or IT where, oh yeah, we can take any black box to your USB-C, change it to Lightning and PoE it over to that screen. That's all jibber jabber to a lot of people who are just want to show up at the office. They're an accountant. They don't want to be an AV expert and understand all these various protocols and how to convert this and that, or that my Nest doesn't work with my Crestron the way it needs to work, or what have you. They don't want to have to deal with that. They want to go in, get their work done. So I think that's going to be a big challenge for us going forward, is getting less agnostic and really kind of coming to terms with, okay, we don't need to keep people in these closed ecosystems, and it's actually more valuable for us. It's more valuable for our industry, and it's more valuable for our manufacturers to make it easier for the users. They're just going to invest more. They're going to want to do more. It's going to benefit everybody more. So that unified part, I think, is a big juggernaut that we really have to focus on.
Yeah, I'll put on my corporate hat and then I'll put on my employee hats. It was just thought came up is that is I think some of the workforce doesn't realize or take into account the huge investment that that company's made in either a building they own or the spaces that they're leasing, that they're signed to lease, and COVID happened. Well, too bad, you've got this lease. So they want to fill those spaces. They want people in there, or else it's wasting their money. And then on the employee side, you know, you're talking back to your boss. It's like, okay, can you be a little bit more proactive on these meetings you want to set up instead of these last minute reactive, get everybody on a call that's working off site. You know, I'm sure there was time to plan for it so then everybody could be ready and pay attention properly and so forth. And Nathan, you kind of touched that, Alexis too, is our industry is giving them the tools to work at home as far as what we're doing right now. You know, there's a collaboration going on right here. So it can be done. It has been done. And I just think that both sides need to be a little bit more understanding of each other. I think it would definitely help out.
Yeah, no, great points, you guys. And for those who are watching and don't know, this event actually goes with our temperature check surveys that rAVe PUBS sends out and asks our readers to answer. And so I've started kind of pulling the results we have so far to incorporate into these questions. And that is still open, by the way. I'm going to get someone to drop the link so that you guys can go answer it if you haven't already. But according to the survey this month that we sent to our readers, 47% have said that their participation in trade shows and events remained the exact same in 2024 as it has been. Does that align with what you guys are observing in the industry? And do you think trade shows are regaining momentum, or are virtual alternatives still holding strong? I mean, that's what we're doing right now. So what do you guys think? And I'll just tee this up for whoever wants to take that first.
I'll go first. I attended a few trade shows this year, probably the same ones that I attended the year before. And I saw a lot more people this year than I did last year. So I don't think they're going away. I don't think that, I do think that there's more, people want to come back to the trade shows. People want to be there in person. I also don't understand in a few of those situations why there isn't a virtual component to the trade shows. That has always, when I was on the meeting side, I would attend this event. It's in January, this meeting planners event. And even before COVID, it was very active virtual component. And so everything wasn't virtual, but the chat was like the best part of it. You'd be in a keynote, or you'd see some of those different, the really high level presentations, and you were chatting with people just like this today. You're chatting with people from all over the world. And, we were busy chatting. We were watching the presentation, but we were commenting live about the presentation and about the content that went on. And so that's something that I just haven't seen at some of the trade shows. And I get it. They want people to be there in person, but I just feel like it's a huge missed opportunity to not have some of those presentations to be virtual.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's no doubt people like that kind of connection where you still feel like you're part of what's going on through that conversation while you're watching this thing, and kind of keeps you connected on the other side of the curtain of Oz, as it were. You're kind of watching Oz up there, and you're being able to kind of talk with your friends about all the stuff that's happening in front of you. I think one thing I've seen with these live events is the post-COVID world, there's definitely a passion, I think, for people to get back to it. Of course, everything was a little bumpy coming out of that previous issue we had with society and COVID and everything, but that's all in the past now. So everybody's very excited to get there. But the one thing I've noticed that's really different is it's not just, colleagues or people within our silo. It's end users, clients. There's more people that want to go that are outsiders, that are now, they know what Infocom is, they know what ISE is, they know what these trade shows are, and they're interested in going and checking it out. Whereas before it was more, oh yeah, if you're in the industry, you're going to go. But now it's kind of like there's this appetite from designers, architects, all different verticals that are seeing that, hey, technology, I don't want technology to be an afterthought. I don't want some speaker plunked on my beautiful wall or just thrown up over there. I want to go see what my options are. I want to see these decorative, transparent screens and see how I can leverage that into this kind of more, interior design vibe or architectural vibe or the built environment, as opposed to just, us kind of going and talking in circles within our silo. So that for me is super exciting because it shows that people outside of our world are excited about our world, and they're going to go in there and they're checking it out and they're actively seeking it out. So that's kind of more, where I've kind of seen the excitement come from with the live shows and the trade shows. And then obviously rAVe does a great job of kind of keeping us in the loop for people like myself that can't always go. Got the business run, things to go, small family or young family on the go. So I can't always just leave for a week and go check things out and catch up with my colleagues. So I kind of live off all these kind of productions that happen, which rAVe has been great at filling in those holes, giving us the live from the floor feedback and the post stuff. So yeah, it's definitely valuable to have both. Again, it's just part of the new hybrid world we live in. There's no right answer for everybody. There's no silver bullet that works for everybody. So I think having the best of both worlds is really key for everyone to have success with this stuff.
Hey, Steph, maybe what you could do when you're going around the booths and doing your interviews is, I don't know if it can be done, somehow tie in what Alexis talked about, where there's a live chat aspect to it, where people are commenting or questioning on whoever you're interviewing. That would be pretty cool. But going back to the shows itself, I think our industry is one of those ones where you want to come and kick the tires. It's, because there's all these pieces that have to work together. And so it is good to go and be at the shows. And it's, once you've been to one, it's so exciting to see it firsthand, as opposed to going to a website and just looking at some product. It just doesn't bode well. You got to be there and see it live.
Well, I know we have an audience question, but before we do that, before we move away from, unified communications, Alexis, I know you messaged, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about what is going on in the USB side of things, because USB-C in particular is like marketed as like the perfect thing. It's going to make your life so much easier. And then half the time it like doesn't. So yeah.
It's crazy. And Nathan, I think you talked about standardization, and that's something that I would love to see more standardization on, is USB. And is it USB 3.1? Is it 3.2? Is it going to be USB 10 next year? Like, what is happening with USB? And how do we make it work properly with all of our devices and with all of the clients' different devices? And they've got MacBooks and they've got Surface and they've got all these different things. And, we have to kind of plan for every possibility. And I guess it kind of goes back to my needs analysis and use cases and all of those thoughts as well. But I just wanted to hear what you guys think about USB and the state of USB as it is.
Yeah, that's for sure a pain point. It just kills me, that kind of stuff. And it kills the people I know around me. It just drives them nuts. Like having a bag full of wires or us having to prepare for everything. There's nothing worse than going to your client. They've got a budget. They've got, a general design of what they want to accomplish. And then you're kind of like, oh, I got to put in this 4-gang wall plate because we need to be able to facilitate any USB A, C, B. We need to, oh, you can't plug in that one. No, does it have the little blue strip? Do you see a blue strip in it? Like these kind of things are just driving end users nuts. They're walking around with 20 pounds of interconnects in their pocket, or, they're in a situation where they need to download special apps on their phone to be able to collaborate and, their phone won't allow it because their work won't allow them to download something. And it's like these kind of things, again, it just reflects poorly on all of us as an industry, because that frustration of the end user, they just kind of throw it all into technology, like, oh, this technology is flawed. And it's like, well, it's not. It's just we haven't quite settled on it yet. we're working out the kinks, but we're always kind of working out those kinks. So I'm really hoping to just see us kind of hit a baseline where it's less about, oh, I've got the better mousetrap, you've got the better mousetrap. It's like, no, let's develop a really great mousetrap here and get everybody aligned on something for the ease of use for that end user, because that's ultimately what we're here to service, right? Like we are a tool for people. We're creating these environments, we're creating these experiences. It's all about our senses, what we see, what we hear, how a space can make us feel through technology. And if the feeling is frustration, that's the wrong feeling. We want people to feel enabled, get better business, higher efficiency on that end. On the personal end, we want to leave with memories. We want that chill in our spine. We want those moments where we walk away and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Or wow, when we went to their office, do you see how we were able to just walk in there and do X, Y, Z? That was so easy. It was awesome. And that's the kind of stuff that gets people excited to kind of keep investing in what we do and keep us growing. Like we are a growing sector, even with these flaws. So imagine how great we would be as we work to work out those kinks, and not just another cable or another update or another firmware or another try power cycling it scenario.
Exactly. Kevin, anything? I feel like
you kind of covered it. I think you don't want the customers saying, man, my megahertz.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your bit rate over there?
I love it.
Okay, so then I'm going to shift us again. And Kevin, I'm going to let you start with this one because I feel like you'll have good things to say. Because as Nathan mentioned earlier, sustainability has been a growing focus in AV for a little bit, but this is particularly holding strong within the digital signage space. So have you seen the industry address energy efficiency and content lifecycle concerns this year? And how has that affected you and your side of the industry?
I do hear the manufacturers of the display companies we work with, bring that up to the customers as far as, power consumption and things like that. We have, mounts that are universal that at times can be used if they change the display. Definitely with LCDs, right? If they do it right, they could reuse the mount if they are just, same size, things like that. But yeah, you're hearing more and more of that. I mean, we promote it, as far as the way we run our facility, the plant and everything. So it is definitely a, buzzword. Everything's real green at Infocom this year. Mm-hmm. Instead of having, and this is, not even our products, but instead of having water bottles in the booth, they gave us all our own little water bottle with our name on it. And then we had one of those tanks in the back room that you could fill it up. So everybody's finding ways to, be more green, more sustainability. And definitely I'm seeing it more and more with the display manufacturers as far as power consumption goes. And like direct LEDs, I don't think they kick off as much heat as some others. So that means your air conditioning is not working as much, because you're heating up the room. So seeing more and more people talking about it.
And have you seen anything with the trends in full color e-paper, people using that and putting that on, using that in retail or in food service rather than paper signage, and potentially needing a mount for that?
The way they're promoted, it doesn't need a mount, so it's, for us, it's like, we're not following it too much, closely. Okay. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Nathan, have you seen anything that we didn't mention already?
Oh yeah, I love this. This is like my playground. This is the future, I love it. Sustainability, huge topic. I'm a huge proponent of it. So yeah, seeing the power consumption of the displays, LED technology, huge. I mean, the amount of water, the amount of paper, the amount of trees, the amount of waste, the car going to a place to replace paper signage, the man hours or person hours involved in that. I mean, the knock-on effect is huge. So when you get into now having these low consumption, ultra bright LEDs put out there that have a longer life cycle than they've had in the past, regardless of the IP rating or the external factors, with with environment, so heat, cool, that type of thing, you're still getting like 5 to 10 years with 24/7 runtime on this stuff. So that's, I think, really big, because if we save a little bit, but you times that by 1,000,000, it's a huge savings. And then what Kevin alluded to, the fact we're seeing the actual industries make movements from the manufacturing aspect of these products and making that more green, the packaging more green, just every part of that all the way through. And then we've got that wonderful new SAVE initiative, which I'm really happy to see, and have been supporting them as much as possible, because it's directly a part of our industry and setting some bars for some of the sustainability and circular economy. I know even with my own clients, we're doing more and more designs where we'll take existing products, like Kevin said, existing mounts, existing displays, existing technologies that maybe they had in their previous office, or get decommissioned out of a site that they no longer have. And instead of just throwing that into the garbage or e-waste, we're finding ways to repurpose that, whether it's a signage display in the lobby. I mean, this is zero cost things for the client that's giving new life to these electronics and saving it from going to the garbage. So yeah, I think this is a huge area of advancement. And again, something that makes AV really exciting beyond us in our silo. Like, these are the things that are going to have long impacts in the industry.
Steph, you mentioned the e-paper ink applications for retail, and I'm seeing those in a lot of different places. I mean, that's come a long way from the Kindle, just black and white Kindle from a while back, right? I see those in the grocery store. And of course, that gives me pause, because I feel like they're changing the price from one day to the next. But
especially if it has AI and some machine learning there.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what the article was, but something I read about that was that, if they can, if they have a sensor and they can see, or like in I don't know about Target, or like in a retail for the holidays, right? If they can see, or if it can tell or sense how often someone stops and looks at that particular item, does the price go up? So I just, it's supply and demand on steroids, right? So, so that, to me, that's one of the bad things about, it's great for the company, bad maybe for consumers, but it's one of the things I think that we're going to have to get used to and kind of keep our eyes open for.
And figure it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe give us a discount when we bag our own groceries.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had another question come in from Holly, an audience member, and Holly says, I'm asked all the time, how did I get into AV? Most often by low voltage, non-AV integrators, and sometimes by young people. What do we as an industry have to offer when it comes to getting them in this space? Back in the 90s, the simple answer for network industry was Bixie. Am I saying that right? I've never heard that word. Do you see Avixa or other resources helping with this huge leap? Lord knows we need more people.
I went to Total Tech Summit, and it was last month. It feels like it was a year ago, right? It was just last month.
We've lived many lifetimes since November.
It was the 1st of November. So that was something that came up during one of the roundtables, and part of the conversation was, look to the left, look to the right. It's everybody in this room, everybody on this call. It's all of our responsibility to evangelize this industry. You know, all of us, many of us have fallen into this industry in one way, shape, or another. But, you know, I like to say when we're more deliberate about getting people to this industry, then great things can happen. And one of the things that we do here in our area, and I talk about this as much as I can to reach as many people as I can, but so many different counties have workforce development agencies, and they offer so many things to the local companies. They offer on-the-job training grants. They offer internships where they pay for the intern and you train them. I mean, there's so many different local government type of opportunities. And the state of Maryland has a really great opportunity right now, and I forget the name of it, but I'll send it to you, Steph. So maybe other states have it, but it's this $3 billion grant, a $3 billion initiative for training workforce. And it's for, I believe it's 7th through 12th grade. So not just thinking about young people as they enter the workforce after college, after high school, but also going back pretty far, you know, to 7th grade. And I just think that all of those types of initiatives are amazing. We go to job fairs here at, I went to a job fair at Lincoln Tech. I haven't done a great job about reaching back out to everybody, but I will. So they have a bunch of students that are graduating in January. We have to train these people when they come out, you know, so there's a cost to do that. But if the company culture, if what we are doing to offer a great workplace for those folks, you know, it's always, oh, if I train them, what if they leave? Well, if all the other things are good for that person when they come into the organization, maybe they'll stay, you know. So we have to try.
Yeah, no, really great point. Kevin, what about you? What do you think about getting more people into the industry?
Things that I've told some of the younger folks I've been around is that, like, if you're into music, as far as live music, things like that, well, AV is a big part of it. Nathan touched on that earlier, and so just try to it's around so much. Everybody thinks IT, and now that is connected. Over the years now, it's finally been connected. And remember, the old saying was, AV was a bad word. It's up in some industries or at some locations, and so I think that it's the trades that we can get them turned on to. If you like to tinker around with things, well, our industry gives you plenty of chances to do that and to build things and so forth. And it's very rewarding because when you're done with an install, you get to see this finished product. That, as I said before, I've been doing this many years, done a lot of stadiums and arenas throughout the country, and to see our finished products it's very rewarding. You can see it in the eyes of the installers too. They really take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah. Nathan, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. My first article with you guys was about getting people in here and kind of taking the role as mentors. Like, a lot of us just need to be better at championing what we do. It's such a niche, or it used to be such a niche, but now it's so pervasive into every aspect of our lives. Our cars have screens. You're talking about immersive audio in vehicles, headphones. I mean, it's everywhere. So we just need to do a better job of making people realize that that is the AV industry. Technology revolves around AV. A lot of everything we do, even though it's computers, requires humans to hook things up. AI has no purpose if it can't communicate through a connected network or through some sort of physical connection through our technologies. So we need people. We need them to be able to show up and join our industry and get good at it. And I think you guys both touched on great aspects of that, of getting younger people there, but a big portion of that is going to be in institutions. IT has become something where you can go to specific classes for IT, you can get accreditations, you can get diplomas, you can get these things around IT, but not a lot around AV. There's not necessarily a lot of AV courses in institutions, larger institutions that are accredited. So I think that would be a big leap forward for us. We have a lot of certifications and a lot of great resources for sure, and associations out there. But I think getting that accreditation for a lot of people will also give it that legitimacy that sometimes may even be demanded from our parents, where it's like, you need to go to school and get that diploma and something I can see from that school. So I think, it'll make a big difference if we can kind of make that push into some of the bigger higher ed situations.
Well, as we're winding down here, I kind of just have one more question that I want to throw to you guys. If you could give the ProAV professionals in our industry one key takeaway from this year, what would it be? And I'm going to give you guys like a couple seconds to think about it. And then Alexis, I'm going to pick on you first.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's only because I love you.
Hey, one key takeaway to me. We talked about experience earlier, and then I also mentioned another word is culture. For me, culture, for an organization, it means everything to me. Nathan, you are you said you're like kind of one man band, like in your, but you work with organizations. And if you understand their culture, you can help them to communicate their messages to their team, right? And so I just think the culture is one of the things that I think about all the time with my team. And are we creating a good culture? Are we taking care of people? Are we giving people what they need so that they can take care of our customers? And it's not a techie AV thing. It's a more touchy-feely thing that is something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Kevin, what about you?
We touched on it earlier, and I think it's really is with our experience with doing all these direct view LED installs, is that if the manufacturer of the display and the mount offer as an option on-site consultation, you're putting together a 6-7 figure system, and the cost to do it is a few $1,000s or more based on how many days. They should spend that money. It's money, it's wisely spent. Then that team is getting trained by our person. And so I think that they shouldn't balk at that. And if they need the manufacturer to talk to the end user to explain that and the benefits, I think that'll serve them, very well and into the future. And then their team is trained, and they didn't have to travel to the manufacturer to get trained. It's right there on site. So I think that's one of the things they should always take advantage of.
And that saves them a lot of time and headaches in the long run. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Nathan, what about you?
Well, I mean, you guys have both kind of touched on it, and something I'm passionate about is just the human aspect of everything we're doing. I think that's the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing that we need to focus on, because we're oftentimes just so focused on the technologies, the logistics of it, the functioning of it, the specs of it. But the human element is the biggest part. So understanding your client, understanding yourself, understanding the technology's impact on people. I think going forward, that's huge. I mean, we've seen it even with AI. It's been a big topic here, and I'm glad it is, because AV and AI are inherently tied together, and technology as a whole. And we're finding, as we're getting more and more research back, more and more reporting back, we're seeing that the human-centered portion in conjunction with AI as a tool is what's giving us the better result, because there's this intangible human aspect of things, whether it's dumb luck, whether it's artistic intent or design vision, or any of these things you want to call it, the randomness of the human mind. when you have things like AI parsing big data, that human element is what really drives things to leap. And then we tend to kind of hit a plateau. And that's where these other tools can kind of help that plateau shorten up where we can leap again. So that human aspect, I think, going forward is the biggest thing I want to see in our industry really gravitate to for new people, established people, on every aspect. Let's make it easier on people. Let's enable those people. Let's create those memories and experiences and hold on to that human aspect of what we're doing. The emotional, the touchy-feely stuff Alexis alluded to is key. I think it's important. It's a big, really important aspect.
That's a really, really great way for us to end this too, and just to kind of go out of 2024 on a good note. So actual final question for each of you: where is the best place, because we are basically over now, where is the best place for our audience members to contact you after this event if they would like to reach out, continue the conversation? Alexis.
Best place to reach me is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, Instagram, Alexis LaBroy, LAB, B as in boy, ROI.
Thank you. Kevin, what about you?
The best way to do it is email kmcdonald@peerless-av.com.
And Nathan?
Yeah, really easy. LinkedIn, and then my website, aviodesigns.com. Really easy. My email's there, phone's there. Pick up a phone. Give me a call.
Awesome.
I don't mind.
Give me a call.
I say now.
Well, thank you guys so much. You have been all three very fantastic panelists. I am very grateful to each of you for hopping on this. It has been so good getting to pick your brains. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
happy holidays. And for everyone watching, don't forget you have gotten one CTS or CTSD RU. That credit will come to you from cts@therAVEagency.com. And I would like to say a big thank you to Peerless AV and ADI for sponsoring this today. They have been fantastic, and they have been good supporters of rAVe PUBS and our monthly temp check. They have been both with us pretty much since the beginning of that. So big thank you to them as well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Bye.